So, you want to understand the Qur'an more deeply, and you ask a very reasonable question. Which tafsir should I read? Now, that sounds like a simple question. You choose a respected book, open the first page, and begin reading. But there is a problem. Before you even open a tafsir, someone may already have interpreted the Qur'an for you. How? Through translation. The moment the Arabic Qur'an is rendered into English, the translator has to make choices. An Arabic word may carry several possible meanings, but the translator cannot place every possibility into one smooth English sentence. A particular word, tone, and sentence structure must be selected. So an English translation can be careful, accurate, and extremely helpful. But it can never be completely neutral. It is already an interpretation. And this means that when you choose a translation or a tafsir, you are not simply choosing a book. You are choosing a lens through which you will see the Qur'an. Now, this matters for every Muslim, but it is especially important for Muslims living in the United States. American Muslims do not come from one ethnic group, one religious background, or one educational tradition. In the same mosque, you might find a convert who first discovered Islam online. A South Asian family shaped by the Hanafi tradition, an Arab family using books brought from overseas, and a college student whose understanding of Islam is largely influenced by social media. They may all pray together. They may all read the same Qur'an. But they may approach its meaning with very different assumptions. And this is why the question, which tafsir should I read, cannot always be answered by naming one book and ending the conversation. Because tafsir is not simply a longer translation. Tafsir is the disciplined effort to explain the Qur'an. It may involve Arabic vocabulary, grammar, rhetoric, the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, explanations transmitted from the companions, the circumstances in which verses were revealed, variant readings, legal principles, and the relationship between different passages of the Qur'an. So a commentator is not merely replacing Arabic words with English words. He is examining language, evidence, context, and meaning. But this raises another question. Was the Qur'an not revealed for ordinary people? Yes, it was. The Qur'an describes itself as guidance. It calls people to reflect on its verses. It warns, comforts, corrects, and transforms ordinary human beings. So Muslims are not supposed to read the Qur'an without thinking. But the Qur'an also explains that the Prophet was given the responsibility of clarifying revelation. It distinguishes between verses that are clear and foundational and others that may be less clear. And it instructs those who do not know to ask people who possess knowledge. So the Islamic tradition does not force us to choose between reflection and scholarship. Both are necessary. Every Muslim should reflect on the Qur'an. Every Muslim should ask how its guidance changes worship, character, family life, business, speech, and relationships. But personal reflection is not the same as independently deciding every theological or legal question. A person may clearly understand that the Qur'an commands honesty. But verses involving inheritance, divorce, warfare, divine attributes, financial law, abrogation, or disputed Arabic expressions may require knowledge that the average reader does not possess. And that brings us to one of the most important facts about tafsir. No tafsir is completely lens-free. One commentator may focus heavily on reports transmitted from the Prophet and the earliest Muslim generations. Another may focus on Arabic grammar and literary beauty. Another may emphasize Islamic law. Another may concentrate on theology, spirituality, moral reform, philosophy, or society. This does not mean that all interpretations are equally correct. And it does not mean that every scholarly method is unreliable. It simply means that the word tafsir on the cover does not tell you everything about the book in your hands. You also need to know who wrote it, which sources were used, what scholarly tradition shaped it, and what the author was trying to accomplish. There is another issue that English-speaking Muslims often overlook. The English edition they are reading may not be the complete original work. Consider Tafsir Ibn Kathir. It is one of the most famous and frequently recommended works of Quranic commentary in the Sunni tradition. But the popular English edition found in many American Islamic bookstores is an abridged translation. That means it is not simply the entire original Arabic work transferred word for word into English. Translators and editors had to decide what to include, what to shorten, how to present narrations, and how much explanation the English reader would receive. Now, does that make the edition useless? No. It can still be an extremely valuable doorway into the work of Ibn Kathir. But it is an edited doorway. And that distinction matters. A famous scholar's name on the cover does not remove the need to examine the translator, publisher, editorial method, and footnotes. This becomes even more important on the internet. A short video can display one English sentence, attach the name of a famous scholar to it, and make the interpretation appear completely obvious. But what may be missing? The sentences before and after the quotation. Other accepted interpretations. The legal school behind the conclusion. The strength of the narration. The historical context. Or the possibility that the scholar was discussing several views rather than presenting only one. So the confident conclusion survives, but the method disappears. And when the method disappears, interpretation begins to look far easier than it really is. Now, someone may reasonably object. Why make understanding the Qur'an so complicated? Was it not revealed as guidance for everyone? Yes, and the goal of scholarship is not to place the Qur'an behind a locked door. The goal is to help people approach it responsibly. Accessibility does not mean that every verse is equally simple. A clear moral teaching may immediately speak to the heart. A detailed legal or theological passage may require additional explanation. That is not unique to the Qur'an. People regularly understand the general purpose of a medical document, a legal contract, or a financial report while still needing trained people to explain its more technical sections. So which tafsir should an English-speaking Muslim begin with? The best answer may not be one magical book. It may be a reading ladder. First, begin with the Arabic Qur'an alongside a clear modern English translation. The clear Qur'an and Militars. A C.S.N. Abdul Halim's translation are two readable starting points for many English-speaking Muslims. But remember what a translation is. It is the first layer of understanding. It is not the final judgment on every possible meaning. When a verse concerns creed, halal and haram, marriage, divorce, inheritance, money, or a major public controversy. Compare more than one translation, then move to Tafsir. The second step is to choose one complete Sunni commentary that is clear enough for you to read consistently. Tafsir al-Sadi is often recommended because its explanations are direct, spiritually focused, and relatively easy to follow. It does not attempt to explore every possible debate in enormous detail. Instead, it helps readers understand the general meaning, moral guidance, and connection between verses. For someone seeking a longer English commentary, Maruf al-Quran provides more extensive discussions, including legal and thematic explanations, but it also reflects a particular scholarly tradition. And that is not a flaw. It is simply something the reader should understand. Then there is Tafsir ibn Kathir. It is especially valuable for seeing how verses were explained through prophetic traditions, reports from the companions, and early Muslim scholarship. But again, English readers should remember that the commonly available edition is abridged. So these books do not all serve exactly the same purpose. One may be better for continuous beginner reading. Another may be better for detailed legal discussion. Another may be especially useful for transmitted reports and early explanations. The goal is not to pretend that all tafsirs are identical. The goal is to know why you are reading each one. And what should you do when a passage remains difficult? Ask a qualified and accountable teacher. But do not ask only, "What does this verse mean?" Ask better questions. What are the main scholarly interpretations? Which evidence supports this conclusion? Is this an agreed position? Is it the majority view? Is it associated with one legal school? Is the narration being quoted considered strong or weak? Or is this the personal preference of the commentator? A trustworthy teacher should help make the method clearer. He should not simply demand that you stop thinking. So before placing complete trust in a tafsir, examine three things. First, who wrote it? What was the author's training, creed, legal school, and interpretive method? Second, what sources does the book use? Does the edition clearly explain whether material has been translated, summarized, abridged, or adapted? And third, does the commentator distinguish between an agreed meaning, a legitimate scholarly disagreement, a weak report, and a personal preference? Now, the purpose of asking these questions is not to become suspicious of every scholar. It is to become honest about our own limitations. Because the most dangerous tafsir may not be a book at all. It may be the interpretation you never recognize as interpretation. A verse may pass through your anger, your political identity, your personal trauma, your favorite online personality, or your desire to defeat someone in an argument. And then, because the verse appears to confirm exactly what you already believed, you assume that your first impression must be the obvious meaning. But a good tafsir slows that process down. It connects the Qur'an to the explanation of the Prophet, the Arabic language in which it was revealed, the understanding of the earliest Muslim community, and the disciplined scholarship that developed over centuries. And then it brings the Qur'an back into your life. Will this knowledge change the way you worship? Will it change the way you speak? The way you earn money? The way you forgive? The way you raise your children. The way you treat people who disagree with you. So the answer to the question, which tafsir should I read, is not simply read the shortest one. And it is not. One single book is perfect for every reader and every question. Begin with a readable translation. Continue with a sound Sunni commentary. Compare translations when the issue is important. Use different tafsirs for different strengths. And ask qualified people when the stakes are high. Keep reflecting, because scholarship is not meant to separate ordinary Muslims from the Qur'an. It is meant to protect us from confusing our first reaction with the final meaning of the Word of God. So when a verse seems to tell you exactly what you already wanted to hear, pause and ask one final question. Is that proof that you understood the verse correctly? Or is that the moment you most need to check the lens?